And welcome to yet another bonus episode. We love doing these, by the way, of the Horizon Roundtable. Just so you guys know, this is not the 100th episode. We're recording that tomorrow. But, of course, I'm Bob McDonald, and you can find me on Twitter at Bob McDonald. And joining me, of course, is my co-host, Matt Dudek.
Hey there, everybody.
Matt, of course, you can find on Twitter as well, at Horizon Matt. You can follow the podcast on Twitter as well, at Horizon RT, and you can visit our website with a bunch of content, both audio and written, at horizonroundtable.com. And do not forget to subscribe where podcasts are available, so definitely do that. So we're recording this before our 100th episode, and I keep saying that because, yes, we've been doing this nearly 100 episodes, minus all the bonus episodes we've been doing lately. This one is a little different. For anybody who follows the podcast on Twitter at Horizon RT, we actually posted a little bit of breaking news yesterday in that IUPUI's Grant Weatherford announced via his Twitter account that he was entering the transfer portal. He's the first of what we really thought was going to be a lot of IUPUI guys. Or not. I mean, we know nothing absolutely about what's going on in the situation with IUPUI, up to and including what the heck is going on with the coaching thing. So we brought on Grant Weatherford to maybe shed some light, possibly, but definitely talk to him about kind of his decision and kind of his future moving forward. So Grant, thank you very much for coming on board with us.
Thanks for having me.
So I guess my first question, of course, would be, what the heck is going on?
Well, a lot of us are kind of in the dark, just like you guys. That's not really a knock on IUPUI. It's just they haven't really communicated much to us. I will say that the captains did reach out to the AD, and all we got back was he'll keep us updated on the search when it restarts, and that right now, Byron Rimm is the head coach for further notice. So.
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing I wanted to. That's the other thing I wanted to ask, because this is so strange, because we've already had a coaching change in the Horizon League at UIC, and UIC wasted absolutely no time in hiring Luke Yakulich, who, by the way, we had on last episode. Definitely want to catch that. Shameless plug. In the same time frame, though, it seemed in the same time frame, even longer a time frame, because obviously Byron Rimm for last season was coaching under the interim tag the whole year, and it was impressed upon all of us that he was only there temporarily, and they were working on finding a solution, and yet the season ends. They've had all this time to look for a replacement, and then, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, they suspended the search. And it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like that kind of surprised you guys about as much as everybody else out here, because from what it sounds like, you know about as much as we do, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. So I had heard that it was actually, because obviously we're an IU school, IU had put a hiring freeze on all campuses. So that's what I had heard, just kind of through the grapevine, that it was through IU who had canceled all hiring, and that involves the coach. Not sure how that works out, but that's what I had heard. And I mean, we were all under the impression that at the end of the year they had their candidates. They've been working on things. They've been kind of just behind closed doors finding candidates and people to replace them, and just never happened. So I think we're all sitting in the same boat as you guys.
What was the locker room like throughout the season with Coach Rimm for you guys as players? Like, I mean, is he somebody that you would have thought might stick around, or did you guys know this was going to be an interim and, everyone was kind of waiting to see who was next? Or can you just tell us a little bit, I guess, about the locker room experience during the season with Coach Rimm?
It was up and down. I mean, at the beginning, obviously, we all came for Coach Gardner, and so at first it was, some people were trying to buy in and other people they couldn't do it. So that caused a little bit of issues at the beginning. But really throughout the season, once people started to get on board with things, it was more just player-led. It was more me and Marcus and a couple of the other upperclassmen just trying to keep people together, remind them that, hey, we're playing on the court. We're the ones that control what's going on. Without getting into too much detail, I mean, there was times where, like, halftime was literally just players talking about adjustments, things like that. So it was really player-led. It was the way I described it to people is it's one of the most different situations I've been in before. That's for sure.
And I say it with love. You've been in a couple different college situations, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been about everywhere.
So yeah, that's kind of piggybacking on this, and I don't want to dredge this up for any other reason, but I want to get kind of your take on this, because obviously the last game of the season against UIC, wow, it was. But one thing that I believe I did point this out in the previous episode, one of the episodes after that game, was that you could tell there was kind of a different kind of vibe on the IUPUI team when that whole game was going on. And the one thing I did notice is that you, however, on the other hand, were it looked like you were trying to keep everybody motivated, keep everybody in the game. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And we're looking at that, and we're thinking, and at least from my standpoint, I was thinking, well, okay, yeah, this is. It just seemed literally, that game played out literally like the last game of a coach who knows he's going to be gone. But now we know we don't even know that's even the case.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, he's going to be around next year.
Yep. So what? I mean, that game, it was weird. I mean, we had just played them. We felt like we kind of let it slip away towards the end. People were kind of just not worn out, but just kind of checked out. Not everybody, but some people. And the shoot around before that game, it was not good, to say the least. I mean, like, it wasn't normal how we normally did it. Tried to change things up. People would say, they try to put in something new, and people would say something and they'd say something back. It almost reminded me kind of like JUCO, that last game. And I just tried to tell people, hey, this could be our last game. It ended up being our last game. I said, this could be your last game. And we had, obviously, Zoe, who was a senior. Mm-hmm. I said, if you're not going to play hard for anybody, play hard for him. I was like, just compete. I said, yeah, we're down 40, but just compete and just keep showing that you have fight and you have heart. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's your manhood. So, but it just wasn't the team that I was used to that last game. That's for sure. It felt like people were kind of hunting their own shots, trying to do things their way, and it just obviously didn't work out.
At some point in that, are people, whether they'll say it out loud or not, are they trying to like make their highlight tape because they're anticipating, jumping in the portal and changing schools? Like, is that a factor for you guys at some point, or not really? Like, what's that like?
I never heard anybody say, I'm gonna get my stats so I can leave or so I can go somewhere else. It was never really like that. It was more, I know that I can do this. I'm gonna get mine. That kind of thing. Like, we might lose, but I'm gonna make sure I get mine. That kind of thing. It wasn't really like that until really towards the end of conference. People kind of were just like, all right, well, I'm not gonna let my stats take a dip. And the excuse for that was, they said that there was nobody on the bench to play behind us 4 or 5 people that had to play 40 minutes a game.
And that was also kind of the other weird dynamic with IUPUI, because, and we've mentioned this multiple times, that there's a lot of talent on that starting 5. It just seemed like after the starting 5, there wasn't starting 5, and I'll add in Mike DePersia as well into that mix in the rotation. But it didn't seem that there was a lot there didn't seem like there was a lot of depth there, and there were times during the season that we saw that it seemed like all those minutes piling up caused you guys to kind of run out of gas on a lot of occasions. Is there that's kind of how I looked at it. Is that something that was kind of a similar vibe in the locker room as well, that that shortened rotation was kind of to your detriment?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the games we were in, really besides the Oakland game, we felt like the last couple minutes we were right there, and then they would make a sub or two, and then we'd just be gassed. People's legs were tired. Marcus and Jalen would miss shots they usually hit. But we always talked about, it got to the point where players were like, you got to play him. I mean, we had a JUCO All-American on the bench. We had a transfer from Missouri. We had Brandon King. We had people, Tavion, who got a chance at the end of the year. He helped us out a lot when he got his chance. So we had people could play and help us out, even if it was just limited minutes.
So what kept those players from being in? Was that just Coach Rimm not trusting them? Were they not putting in the work in practice? Like what was the dynamic that created that?
He didn't trust them. He said that they didn't buy in, things like that. I forget the words that he used, but it was along those lines. And he just felt like he couldn't put them into the game to get minutes. But yeah, I mean, that UIC game, really going into halftime, you could just see it on us, like the people that play big minutes, we were just gassed, and it really took a toll on a lot of us. So.
And that probably also because we pointed out during the season that with Marcus Burke and Jalen Manette, and they had it seemed like every other game where they were able to go off and get big score pretty big, and then the next game or two they kind of fell off, and it sounds like that's kind of that's kind of what happened, is the fact that they were being used so much that it was definitely affecting him negatively.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even in practice, we'd get up a lot of shots. It was different though. I mean, we never really competed in practice, and that's where I got a little bit vocal about things. Just as being the point guard and the extension from the coach, I told him, I said, look, I trust you. I'm an extension of you on the court. I'm gonna get people to buy in as best as I can. And I was like, but we got to compete in practice, because I don't know if you guys really paid attention to it, but we never had a good start to a game. No. It always took us a couple to get going.
And that was one thing, except for Green Bay, and I know that Green Bay fans lament the fact that, Green Bay, you guys always went off, but apparently every other game, not so much.
I'm primarily an Oakland follower and fan, so I've got nothing to talk about here. So.
Oh, that's right, you do. So now, so after all that, and again, we've actually talked about we've bantered about this on Twitter a lot. And once the season was over, we were fully expecting something to happen. Based on what the answer you were given about Byron Rimm, that could kind of explain what happened, why that whole thing why that whole transition didn't transpire, and may never will, at least in the near term. But the one other thing that I thought was very strange, in the face of the fact that we have a lot of other Horizon League players that are entering the transfer portal, is that up until you did, I think until you announced yours on Friday, I think maybe one other IUPUI player entered the transfer portal. And I thought that was I consider you to think that's a little interesting, that we haven't heard a lot of anything from anybody besides yourself. Not to speculate about what they're planning to do, but ultimately, what made you decide that this was going to be the move for you to move into the transfer portal?
Well, just to piggyback off of what you had talked about, how nobody from our team has went in. Actually, the one person that did, he had left at the beginning of the year, just went to school. But our team, throughout all the ups and downs this season, it actually brought us closer. We knew that we could trust each other. We all talked about, there was people that wanted to just call it a season and can it and in the middle of the year, but the captains were able to make sure people stayed on board, and we were like, look, at the end of the year, they're most likely going to get a new coach. We all thought it. Everyone thought about it. So we were just trying to all stick together, play it out by ear, figure out the coaching situation. And I even sent the text out to the guys yesterday. I was like, hey, this is not how I expected it to go. I wanted to end my last year with you guys on a high note. I know that we were better than what we were this year, and I wish that we had a shot at it. But I can't, my opinion, I can't wait around till August or July for them to make a decision, and then me be put in the portal then and not have options to where I want to go for my last year. So I kind of want to just control my own destiny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and probably considering how many, considering that the transfer portal is the party that never stops because there's hundreds of people in there. Yeah, I don't necessarily blame you.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Go
ahead, Bob.
No, you go ahead.
Grant, do you think with you kind of starting this, are we going to see more out of IUPUI? Would that be your guess, or is everyone else going to kind of hold tight? What do you think we can expect to see from the rest of the team now?
Without really mentioning names, I think depending on when they open the search up and when they make something official, I think there'll be a couple more names. I could see that, regardless of what they do. I could see a couple more names entering. But if they don't announce anything, I think that it could just be an overload of people.
Without saying names, are there people on that roster right now that are holding out hope that Coach Rimm stays?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Like I had mentioned, he's a good coach. He's a good guy. We were all put in a bad situation with what happened with Coach Gardner. Just everybody's kind of thrown into the mix. But I do know that a lot of people enjoyed playing for him. They felt like he gave them a little bit of freedom to just go out and play, and obviously still systematic stuff. But there are people that do want to come back and play for him if he's the coach, and that's good for them. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, it sounds like it could go either way. It could be a kind of a trickle of transfers, or we could have ourselves a Cleveland State style exodus.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a hell of an extreme to go to, by the way, having lived through that whole thing last year. But obviously a totally different situation, but still.
Yeah, totally different situation. But I will say that we do have a lot of upperclassmen, which was what we were all so excited for. We had last year, we were all juniors. This year we'd be seniors, and we felt like we had the pieces. And like I said, with what happened with Coach Gardner, it was unfortunate. But now there are a lot of people that can graduate and transfer and play immediately and have a lot of options.
Yeah, I believe there's I think we counted them up. I think there's about 5 or 6 that are redshirt juniors that could grad transfer. Also, there's also Jalen Manette we could easily see sit one, play one, probably.
Yep.
We counted it up. That's like half the IUPUI roster, and if anywhere near as many numbers move as worst case scenario, that's gonna definitely set IUPUI back a lot. Then again, we said the same thing about Cleveland State, and look what happened. So
yeah, they competed. They were tough to play against. But I will say with the team, obviously I don't wish bad on IUPUI at all.
Sure.
I want them to have success and things like that. But if it does happen, it will be awful for the program, for the school, just because I think they have one recruit commit And without us upperclassmen, it would see how they would even have a full roster of actual players, unless they went another route and tried to bring people in super late. But it would not be the same program as what it could be. That's for sure.
So moving forward for you, have you given any thought to where the direction you want to head in terms of your next school?
I want to find somewhere that has a winning culture, a coach that is disciplined, that holds people accountable, pushes people every day to get better, and really a school that can help me have team success, because that's what I want overall, is team success. And then after that, personal success to set me up for later in life with school and also sports. So those are big things with me. And I also want stability as best as I can find. Somewhere that I know the coach has been there. He's got credibility. He's got just, what's the word I'm looking for? He has
integrity.
I can't even think. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of words I could use.
Sure.
I just really want to find like a winning culture for my. I want a chance to go to the tournament. I want a chance to just be able to win, and even if that means go to a program that hasn't necessarily won lately, but they have the pieces. And I know that my numbers this year were very inflated, very inflated just from all the minutes that I had played.
Sure.
And so I know that I don't need to play those amount of minutes. I would never say I had to play those amount of minutes, but it's something that is not a huge factor for me. But I would still like to obviously get solid minutes. If that makes sense, on a very productive team. So.
Now you mentioned the academics. Obviously, as a grad transfer, you're still on track to graduate from IUPUI, and also obviously you're what is it? You're an academic all something, I can't remember, all Horizon League, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
I should know these things. Gee, Bob, you're a Duo Horizon League podcast. You should know these things.
Way to prep the interview, Bob. Way to prep.
In terms of your next school, is the how important is the academic factor specifically? You're obviously going to be pursuing a graduate degree at that point. How important is that going to how is that going to factor into your decision making?
I value academics a lot. My family does as well. I think that's really where it stems from. But it'll definitely play a factor. Because like I mentioned, I have 1 year left. I hope that I'll have options to where I'll be able to choose a school that has good academics, good sports program, is successful, and everything that I'm looking for. But that is one thing that I won't bend on, is academics, because I know that at the end of the day, that's where everybody ends up falling back on.
Sure.
And that's part of the reason why I've really forced myself. I mean, when I was redshirting, to take more classes so that I could set myself up to have more degrees and be able to be more flexible with what I want to do.
What is the future for Grant Weatherford after basketball? Whether, so you transfer, you play, you play overseas, whatever happens. What is the rest of the future for Grant Weatherford in Grant's eyes?
That's a tough one, just because my parents own a 3D printing company.
That's cool.
Yeah, so my dad and my mom, they both work from home with it, and I've always helped them out, like throughout the summer, like in high school, or when I come home just from school, or things like that. So I've been very invested in their company, but part of me wants to try to take my own route, just to try to say, hey, I made it without just falling back on something that was already there. So I'm up in the air about taking over their business, but I also kind of want to try to make my own route and find the successes and failures in that. So I'm not 100% sure, though.
Okay. Ben, you have anything else?
No, I mean, Grant, we really appreciate your candor and just your openness and willing to talk about all this stuff. Oh, I do have one question, if you don't mind answering it. You're actually going to settle a Twitter debate. Uh, who, who, in your opinion, should have been Horizon League Defensive Player of the Year between these two players, Jalen Tate or Trey Maddox? If you could only have one of them guarding you, who do you want?
If I wanted someone to guard somebody, who would I want?
Better question. Who don't you want guarding you?
Well, Maddox did guard me, but I would have to go with Jalen Tate.
All right, I'm wrong then.
I would have to.
We're gonna have.
I would have to go with Jalen Tate just from our games between both of them. I felt like Jalen, he's very long, he's very athletic. He'll get into you, but he won't. He'll be a quiet kind of trash talker, as other people will talk, and it'll get Jalen and Marcus going. I felt like he kind of kept them under wraps for the most part, and I feel like he's who I would go with. Besides myself, of course.
Well, right. I mean, you can't guard yourself.
Got to stick with myself.
Hey, confidence in yourself is key, man.
Yes, yeah, I have this very weird feeling. Yeah, I have this weird feeling we're going to be debating about this next episode. But yeah.
No,
anyway.
I'm going to take someone that was on the court. I'm going to say, okay, I was wrong. I'm cool.
Good, because I don't really have an opinion on that one. So
I don't care that much. It doesn't matter.
So
yeah, all right. Well,
yeah. So yeah, I will echo Matt's sentiments. Thank you once again, Grant, for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time. And good luck to you at your new school.
Thank you very much.
Oh, although I must ask one question. If another Horizon League school offered you, would you take it?
Like I said, it just goes back to the best possible place for me, on the court, off the court, academics, and success. And if that was the place, I would definitely take it. Okay, good to know. All right. So that is going to close it out for this yet another bonus episode. I would be exhausted. I would say that I'm tired of doing these things, but I absolutely love doing these things. I don't know why. But that's going to wrap it up for this bonus episode. Tune in. Definitely tune in. Next episode, again, our 100th episode. I can't believe we've been doing this that long. But as always, you can find episodes of the Horizon Roundtable and our other content on horizonroundtable.com. You can find us where podcasts are available. And, of course, you can find us on your Amazon or Google devices. And with that, that's going to do it for us. And thank you all for listening.